Warning: the following review contains a lot of discussion about pretty sensitive social issues that may be disturbing to some viewers out there. So, if you are a person who maybe doesn't want to hear that or isn't in the right headspace for those types of discussions, this is maybe not the video for you, and we strongly advise that viewers use their best judgment in approaching this video. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Million Dollar Media. I am your sometimes host, Emily, and with me once again here today, I have...
Hi, it's me, Max, the head of MDM. I don't know what... the guy who made it.
It's Max. You know who Max is. If you're watching this video, you definitely know who Max is. And today, we are talking about 2026's most provocative movie, Eat Your Heart Out, Emerald Fennel. It's The Drama, with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson.
Just had to get that in there.
Yeah, no, I did. For those of you who are not aware, The Drama is a film about a young couple who are set to be married in the sort of near future, who wind up having a sort of giant social falling out after they play a game at a party where they talk about what the worst thing they ever did was, and one of them unveils a horrible secret. At least that's what the IMDb description would tell you. In reality, I think the movie is a lot more nuanced and a lot more grounded than that synopsis implies.
Very.
And so today we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be reviewing it, talking about the story, what we think it did well, what we think it maybe could have improved on. And as such, before we go into it, we're going to need to say a couple things.
Yeah.
First off, everything past this point in the video is going to be spoilers by necessity.
Yeah, there's not much we can talk about that isn't spoilers. Because the whole movie, like, one of the things that this movie did do interesting, marketing-wise, is it didn't reveal its inciting incident in the trailer at all. Like, you do not know what the film is actually about. Which I also think is kind of the reason why not a lot of people are talking about it, because the trailers basically say, just trust me. So, in order to properly discuss this film, we have to spoil it. Should we at least say, like, do we recommend it?
I'm going to say, personally, I absolutely recommend it if you are willing to get on the movie's wavelength and go into it with the understanding that it is a fairly serious movie in theme. It certainly has elements of, like, very black comedy, I would say.
Oh, this is this is pitch black comedy.
Yeah, right? Like, about as dark of a comedy as it gets. But they're there. If you're going to watch this movie, which again I do recommend, I do think personally it's worth your time. Be prepped for it, and you'll have a good thought-provoking time with it. I don't know how you feel, Max.
Honestly, like, this is a movie you just have to go in with a very open mind. Like, you have to go in wanting to be challenged. It's tough to say without saying it, but
yeah. If I can try to translate a little bit of what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is a movie that wants to stab you. Basically, it is.
Yeah.
It is a movie that is designed to poke and prod at the viewer's most sensitive spots to see how they take it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You just have to be ready for it to do that.
If you also like very cringy comedy, not in like like this is painfully unfunny, more in the way of like engage.
It's funny because it's not happening to you.
Yeah. Yes. Like, I will say parts of this movie I was watching through my hands. Like, I was very uncomfortable.
Yes.
But I was still enjoying it because not in a bad way, but this movie is like a train wreck. Everything is going wrong and you just can't help but watch it.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it. And I was just like, oh my God, how is this going to end?
That's the spoiler-free review. That's literally all we can say about this movie without spoiling it.
Yeah.
So if you've watched this far in the video, it either means that you know what the plot twist is, or you're just interested in hearing what the movie's about and not watching it, which is also totally fair. So ultimately, the reveal that we get about Zendaya's character is that
I almost did a mass shooting.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
When I was 15, I was really, really fucked up back then, and I planned to bring a weapon to school.
And do a school shooting?
Even saying it, recording it for the purposes of a review, it gives you a tightness in your chest to say it out loud in that sense. But to its credit, I don't think the movie plays it cheaply. I think the
No,
movie
man.
understands the gravitas that it has by broaching this topic.
I'll go as far as say, just to compare another thing, like piece of media that has talked about this subject, just maybe in a different
Yeah.
way. I think this movie approaches the subject in a way that's a bit more nuanced than even shows like The Pit.
Yeah.
Whereas The Pit more shows like the aftermath of something like that. This show mostly talks about like the topic and like this the I don't want to say the stigma, but I can't think of any other word, but like that the idea of like even thinking about it, how does that affect the people around you? And that is ultimately what this film is trying to like get at.
Yeah. And I think, I texted this to Max earlier when we were briefly discussing this film, but I think this is truly one of the most like of its time movies that we've seen released recently.
Yep.
This feels like an exceptionally modern film in subject matter because we're really only now getting into a point in society where you could even make something like this, or where the necessary experience or like societal circumstance would even allow for a movie like this to be made.
The fact that it's so common is just, even with the casting of Zendaya, is that like anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Like, that's one of the many points the film is trying to say. You would never expect it from her. And even that's what makes the shock of the scene so like what? Like, it's truly a double take moment in the film that they have to like really sit on. But
it is. And I think the casting of Zendaya works to the film's credit in a lot of ways. In the original script of this film, that character, Emma, is white, right? Or like was written to be. Yeah. And I think casting Zendaya over casting a white girl in some ways adds a lot of nuance to that character.
Very.
Because as we learn about Rachel's backstory, there's a lot of elements of like she was targeted by bullies and frequently harassed and stuff.
Emma?
Yeah. Did I say Rachel?
You said Rachel. That we'll get into her.
We'll talk about her. We're getting there. Sorry, that will make me laugh because when we get there.
Oh, yeah. I might say some colorful words. But go on.
But I think casting Zendaya added a layer of nuance and complexity to that backstory. Whereas I think if they had cast a white actress, it might have come off a little like, what's the word? I don't think it would have served the point as well of like, it could be anyone. I think they were going for that with it being a woman. Yeah. But it still plays into the idea of like the bullied, nerdy white kid who shoots up the school. That's like the sort of default, right? Like even something like The Pit or like We Need to Talk About Kevin. This like totally falls back on that. Or those like totally fall back on that. And so I think casting not only a mixed race woman, but a high profile one serves to help make the film's point land a lot stronger in a lot of ways.
And not to be a pig, but a very conventionally attractive person.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's Hollywood, so it's very conventionally attractive people. But even with the fact that it's Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, like they're both very attractive people, and so you're like, okay, like for me going into it and you telling me to be prepared, I was more thinking it was going to be something sexual in nature. No, seriously. Nope. Seriously, I thought it was going to be something more sexual in nature or some like very heavy topic when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because again, that's traditionally what you would expect, something that's a bit more like trying to get that big shock factor. But the fact that the film decides to go in a way like this and instead talk more about like violence and gun violence specifically was not what I was expecting. It was a breath of fresh air in that like it was a film that was trying to say something different, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. So this is a remark that I actually may have made before on this channel. But sometimes a movie comes out and I watch it and I go, this has all the hallmarks of a play, is what I'm watching.
Yep.
In that way of, this is a small set of characters in a few locations with a lot of big monologues and big like scenes for those actors to shine. And it's a little bit clumsy and really, really eager to stick its point and like talk about stuff, you know,
Yeah.
in that way that theater often is,
Mhm.
of like, let's address a situation very directly.
Yep.
The drama is a movie like that. And I think it really, really works to its benefit, actually.
No,
Um,
100%. I could totally see this being a play.
yeah.
Like a theater in the round or like a traditional stage. And I think that's kind of what also makes it so approachable in the simplicity of it. I'm not saying that theater's simplistic. I'm just saying, like, there's not a lot of flashy things going on in this film. Honestly, the flashiest thing is how the film sometimes can use its editing. Like the editing, the sound design, especially with the fact that Emma is deaf in one ear. Like the way they play it with sound design was really interesting. But most of the nuance in like the actual meat of the story is in its dialogue and the way the actors portray these characters.
100%. Like, again, that's a very play-like thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting. So that's sort of the heavier part of the movie. And before we move on from it, I do kind of want to like say, I think for what it's worth, this movie covers the topic in a way that feels appropriate.
I agree.
It doesn't feel like super gonzo about it, right? Like inappropriate or anything. It feels like it has a lot of nuance and, more relevantly to the point, a lot of empathy for not just Emma, but everyone involved in that situation, with the one exception, who we'll get to in a minute.
Yep.
It feels like the movie is in touch with the concept that this can affect people in multiple ways. And it's just as valid for Charlie to be a little bit upset and scared about it as it is for Emma to feel like she deserves to still be loved and treated with respect despite it.
Another thing that I think the danger of this movie could be, because walking out of the theater, I was noticing this a lot, because I saw this with a very packed theater, surprisingly. A lot of couples, believe it or not.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I went alone. But
good.
That's
the better way to experience this movie.
I agree. This is not a date movie. Unless you really want to have that conversation. Like, I feel the danger of this movie is if people put themselves into these roles and say, well, I wouldn't have done that differently. Because the whole point of this film is to show, like, it's very specifically these characters. Like,
yeah.
Each character is so well written and layered and has enough history behind them. Like, the story of this movie goes beyond what we actually see, and they do a good job of portraying like who these people are. One of the things I was a little bit not happy with the movie for the first like 3/4 of it was that Robert Pattinson's character Charlie is a little bit too much of like a white knight, in that he's just so perfect, or like he has a perfectly clean bill of like history. Like, the shadiest thing he has done is that he didn't read the book that she was reading. He only lied about it to ask her out on a date. Like, that's the worst thing we have seen him do. Otherwise, he's pretty much a white knight of a character who's just very neurotic and not knowing how to handle it. What I really appreciate is that later in the movie they give him some dirt, and that really turns this black and white situation into like the levels of gray that it belongs. And I really appreciate that the film did that, because I think it would have been a little bit too easy if he was still this perfect person. And I appreciate that they don't make him this perfect person.
They really don't make him this perfect person, to be honest. Like, that last quarter of the movie is pretty damning.
Very, very. And I really appreciate that the film went there. Because if it was just he's this perfect guy and he got saddled with the situation, it wouldn't be fair to Emma as a character.
Yes. Also, we are in spoilers, so if you want to say what you're talking about, you can.
I didn't want to like jump the gun too much on it, but yeah, there's a moment in the film where Charlie is at work and he's talking to a coworker who I believe is maybe like a lower level than him, or at least like not the same.
Yeah, she works under him. She's a subordinate.
Like, he's basically asking her like, what would you do in this situation? And she said, I would call the police. He freaks out and starts crying. She goes to console him, and he kisses her, and the kiss leads into him ripping her shirt off, or at least ripping the buttons off, and they're about to have sex, but he backs away real quick. And he realizes what he's doing, and he backs away. This is now very interesting. One of the things that the film plays with is action versus inaction.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Emma was very close to actually doing it, but then realizing actually what she would have caused, learning to become empathetic and understand the pain that she would have caused, which I think is actually a very beautiful message to talk about in a movie like that. With a subject like that, is about the empathy and the pain that happens, and they don't sugarcoat it, and they don't try to like make it like a
fairy tale, right?
Like
it's very real.
It's very real. Even like the way they have like they show like a school going through the drill exercises of like, look at your fellow student and your classmates and imagine if they were not gone. And I thought they would play that up for laughs, because so far the movie has played certain moments for laughs, and I will talk about my favorite moment in the movie in a minute. But when it comes to like Charlie's character, when he does that, I think it was a shitty thing to do, but in that moment I totally get why the character did it.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thought, like, because even he realizes that, shit, what have I done? Yeah, it was genuinely a shocking moment, and that was one of the moments in the theater where the theater just went, oh no. I'm kind of curious what you have to say about all that.
Yeah, no, I think that it does a lot to make Charlie like a more well-rounded character. I think you're right. The movie does play a lot with action and inaction in a really interesting way. And I saw that scene as being a very interesting parallel to Emma's situation of like, how far does you have to go in wanting to do something before you can't take back the idea that you almost did it, right? Like,
yeah.
And I think making him experience that type of thing in parallel was just such a smart, sharp writing decision, and I really liked it. Also, on the theme of action and inaction, I feel like we've got to finally talk about her.
Oh my god. Am I allowed to
Robert
say so?
Downey Jr. is going to be playing Doctor Doom in a Marvel movie later this year.
Oh,
he will have, at best, the second best villain performance in a movie this year.
Very true.
Behind Alana Haim as Rachel, because oh my god.
I gotta say it, and I apologize. Cunt. Like, straight up.
She is maybe one of the most, like, insidiously evil characters that has graced our movie screens in some time.
For real. And to be fair, I'm not calling the actress that.
No, Alana Haim is great. She does awesome in that role.
She is so good. She makes you hate this character so much. Most, like, the thing is that we all know someone like her. Who wants, and I guess this, I don't want to make this sound like me trying to be red pilled or like trying to say like, oh, they all want to play victims, but she's wanting to play victim.
If you want to phrase it a different way, she really does not want to take responsibility for her own shittiness.
Fair.
She's like insidiously fixated on other people's flaws so that she can compensate for her own. So we should clarify, especially for anyone who is just listening to this because they want to know about the movie.
Because we're trashing a woman. That's all it sounds like right now.
So
Sorry.
Rachel is a friend of Charlie and Emma's in the film, who's a slightly more, she's like a socialite type character. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the vibe she gives off.
Yeah. She is only friends with them because she's married to Charlie's friend. And so she kind of came in that way.
Yeah, she's like there by association.
Yeah,
and she's one of the other people who plays in the game with them of like, what's the worst thing you ever done? And her story is so much worse than Emma's, because as we learn, she locked her neighbor who was intellectually disabled in a closet for, was it hours? I could have been longer.
A whole night.
Yeah.
Or longer, because she never says when they found him. And not just any closet. It was a closet in the middle of the woods. Like, it was like this, they say it was like this leftover cabin or like trailer that was in the middle of the woods. It was disgusting. They go into detail about what was around it. And she basically goats this kid into getting in the closet and then locks it. And because he was freaking out, obviously, she runs. And when the police go and ask her where he was, she doesn't say anything.
Yup. And obviously, that is way worse than Emma's thing. By magnitudes. And she spends the entire movie essentially being Emma's number one op.
For
for
real.
lack of a better term. At least in my reading of the character, it seems like on some subconscious level, she knows that what she did was easily the worst thing that anyone at that table had done.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
she becomes so obsessed with like criticizing Emma on her thing because she wants to target an insecurity in someone else in hopes that like they'll overlook that.
And another thing that I noticed is that all the stories that people tell involve them actually hurting another person, whereas Emma's is about not hurting a person. It's just the worst thought she has ever had.
Exactly.
And so it almost becomes like a quote-unquote thought crime kind of thing. Like, well, you thought it. And another thing that was really telling, too, is that she's kind of racist.
She's pretty racist.
Yeah. And
Like,
yeah.
she makes that remark about her husband being raised around guns, which is just like not true in the slightest.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, for context, her husband is black. I
Yeah.
feel like that's like a relevant.
Oh, yeah.
If someone hadn't watched the movie, they might not understand why that's a bad thing to say.
She basically assumes that her husband was around violence or like in a bad area just because he says it. She thinks that he was raised around guns, but in reality his dad was a cop.
Yeah.
Like, that is it. And even when we meet Emma's dad, we don't know the relationship. Like, there was something to assume that like she didn't have the best like childhood, but when we meet her dad, he seems pretty put together, and like it looks like he was a military man. He just had a rifle, and that was it. Another thing that I found was interesting too is like the way they played with the idea of like Emma was interested in the whole idea of it because of the aesthetics and the idea of doing a school shooting, and how like we as America have kind of played up this look in this idea of what a person like that is like. It's more punk than punk kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you see what she looks like at that time, and she looks like she's wearing camo, she's really heavy eyeliner. And one of the scenes that I thought was really interesting and kind of funny, because this is the year that Robert Pattinson and Zendaya are in like 3 movies together. The book that he finds with all the girls with guns is by Athena, which she is going to play Athena in the Odyssey.
That's funny.
I that is just a huge coincidence. I highly doubt that they planned that, but I just thought that was just kind of a funny little detail. But also, Athena being the goddess of the hunt.
Well, I mean, Artemis is the goddess of the hunt.
What is Athena again? I know
Athena is the goddess of wisdom and knowledge, and also war. Well, like kind of war, like battlefield tactics. She kind of shares it with Ares. She's like the tactician, the patron of war thinkers, like strategists. Mm-hmm. And then Ares is more for like people who actually fight in wars.
Battle.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Greek history lesson by Emily. I have to make this somewhat lighthearted. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that was just like a really interesting thing, like all the aesthetics, even down to like what we're talking about with the gods thing, like the way even throughout history is we put these figures and mystify this idea of battle and violence with characters like Athena. And the beauty of it, and they're like the aesthetic of it, and the way the film kind of shows like how someone could be fascinated by that kind of thinking. And I thought it was just a really interesting discussion around the film. Like, it just isn't like I brought up The Pit earlier, and one of the things you can say about The Pit is that it just touches a lot of hot button issues with a lot of reverence, but it is basically like, what can we talk about in this span of time? Whereas this film like sits with it.
Yeah, this movie wants to press one very hot button, and like leave its finger on the button until it burns, for lack of a better metaphor.
No,
right?
And it hurts.
It does. But as we come to the end of this review, I also want to say I really liked the ending of the movie.
I did too.
I think having it be like they get so screwed up that they just want to forgive each other. You know, that idea of them meeting in that diner and that being their shot at like, let's give each other mercy. Let's believe in the best about each other and forgive and spare each other in this instance. And let's try again. I think that is such a profound and moving note to end off on.
Agreed.
And I was so impressed with the movie for going that direction, because for a movie that has so many dark comedy cards, it's kind of easy to at one point believe that the ending of this movie is going to be really dark.
Honestly, the ending that we got was kind of something that I expected, just because I'm like, I don't know how you can just like, you either have to take like a ballsy like stance on this subject and just say this is how you deal with it. Cinema therapy will probably have a field day with this episode, with this movie, and I can't wait to watch that episode. I really like them, but I like that the film is a good open ender. Like, you don't know exactly if they can forgive each other, but they're willing to try. If I were to recommend anything, if this couple, if I know they don't exist, just like literally move, like get new friends. You gotta get out of there. Like, you gotta start over. Like, this, and that's what the film basically implies, is that they're just starting over. They're married, but they're starting over. Like, the love is that strong that they're willing to like start over.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of beautiful. I will say, you brought up the dark comedy element, and I think the funniest moment in the movie for me, day after this whole incident occurs, like, they barely had any time to talk about it, or they're not wanting to talk about it until they feel comfortable, or they're just throwing up. They go to a photographer.
Yep.
And the funniest part about it is that that scene was the trailer for this movie too. But it's basically the photographer saying, like, giving them a shot list of like, I'm gonna shoot your mom, I'm gonna shoot your dad, I'm gonna shoot your mom and your dad and your grandparents, and then he's like, I don't think they're gonna be here. Yeah, you're gonna travel. Like, just the way that that the actress who plays the photographer performed it with such like that salesman kind of like smile and bravado of like, you know, like just trying to smile and make it really ultra happy, where they are just like quietly screaming inside, was so funny. I was keeled over in laughter. Just and the more it went on, it was just so funny. Like, I know, like, the trailer more pokes fun at the idea of how awkward the actual photo shoot is, but the scene, just the shot list was just perfect. Just a really well written joke. And you want to talk about dark comedy? That is dark comedy at its finest.
Oh yeah.
Was there any other moment that you thought was really like funny?
Well, I have an anecdote that's funny.
Okay.
But you know the photo in the movie they wind up taking where Emma points a finger gun at Charlie. That was the promo image for the movie, but they edited it so it looked like she was showing off her wedding ring.
Yep. I saw that. Yeah.
So as not to give away the premise of the film, and that is the most insane decision that they could have possibly made. I mean, I have to respect it.
Just think that I remember seeing that photo in the movie with her with pointing the finger gun. I was like, oh my god, it was there the entire time. That was so funny. I will say the other funny moment I had, or a really laugh out loud moment, was the DJ, the second DJ. That was really funny. As someone who has DJ'd for a wedding, that was funny.
All right. Well, we should probably wrap up this review.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, like, I want to hear your thoughts too.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I personally recommend this movie 100%. I think if you are the kind of person who likes to be challenged by movies, this is a really sharp, thought-provoking drama in a way that I just couldn't get enough of. I'm really looking forward to whatever this director does next.
He did the movie Dream Scenario. The one about with Nick Cage, the one where he's like in your dreams. Well, I mean, Nick Cage is always in my dreams. I didn't know that. But yeah, he made that movie, and it makes me want to go check out that movie. I'll just say, just a bit of on a different side. Like, yes, I do think the movie is very challenging, but I also want to say, if you are one of those people who wants to understand what true dark comedy is like, this movie.
Yeah.
Like, this and The Menu, I think this is darker than The Menu, honestly. And The Menu is pretty freaking bleak as the comedy goes. But this movie is just like, it's so real, unfortunately, that you can't help but like laugh at the situations. Even down to Rachel as a character. Like, you're just like, oh, I know a bitch like that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Or like the situations like the shot list part, or the DJ, or just how uncomfortable the situations are in this movie. Like, if you honestly want a good like movie that's about like a dark comedy without just doing like shock jock tricks, like, this isn't your like Austin comedy scene kind of shocking dark comedy, like where it's just dumb. This is like really, really thought-provoking dark comedy at its finest.
this is play dark comedy, right?
Yes.
Like the
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of shit that you see in like a theatrical production.
Yeah.
And it
even-
is, I think, sharp and intelligent in that way, which I like.
Very. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. And I really appreciate that you went out of your way to make me go see this, honestly.
Yeah, no, I was like, you should see it, and I don't want to tell you what it's about. I really did try to warn you as best I could, because I didn't want to give it away, but I really wanted to communicate, like, you gotta be ready.
You did a good job. As I was getting up to that moment, my heart was kind of racing. I was like, okay, Emily really set me up here. Let's see what this is. And then when it got to that moment, I wasn't disappointed. I was more just like, oh, okay. And if I didn't have that warning, I don't know how I would have thought of the movie, honestly. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you gave me that kind of a heads up, and I hope people watch the first parts of this review and kind of get that same feeling of like, what is this about?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see the reaction once it's more available to people, but I think seeing it in the theater was also very special.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
That's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for listening to this review. We really wanted to cover this movie and give it like the appreciation and nuance that it deserves a discussion about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, even though it's a little bit of a different type of episode from what we normally do.
Don't worry, people. You'll
Go
get your comic book stuff in a bit.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. Please like, comment, whatever you can do. It all really helps us. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to give Max money. Thank you very much.
Keep watching movies and keep watching our videos.
Bye.